There is belief, and then there is skepticism. Between the two lies a vast territory of questions and the unknown. What if reality is far more complex than we have been willing to perceive? What if the stories we dismissed as myth and legend hold the keys to understanding consciousness? From ghostly encounters to inexplicable lights in the sky, humanity has always sensed there was something more out there. Some call it paranormal, and others call it the divine. Some look to the stars for answers, while others search within. Philosophy asks, why? Theology asks, who? Science asks, how? And we ask ourselves, what if? We stand at the meeting point, a place where the veil between realities is thinner than you might think. This is the crossroads of the veil. We travel back to a time and a place where the veil between worlds was not just thin, but it was deliberately torn open. We are journeying back to sunny Pasadena, California, in the year 1946. The Second World War has just ended. Humanity, having unleashed the terrifying power of the atom bomb, is standing at the edge of a cliff of its own making. Science is promising a future of limitless potential, a streamlined world of logic and reason. But in a sprawling mansion on a street named Orange Grove, one of the most brilliant minds behind America's new rocket program was looking for answers not in physics, but in the forbidden pages of ancient grimoires. This is the story of a ritual so audacious and deemed so dangerous, it remains a subject of whispered debate and chilling speculation to this day. It is a story of three men and a woman whose destinies would collide in the crucible of ceremonial magic, sex, and cosmic ambition. Their names still echo with a strange power and allure. Aleister Crowley, the world's most infamous occultist; L. Ron Hubbard, the future founder of a global religious empire; and at the center of it all, the scientist-magician Jack Parsons. Their goal was not to summon a demon, or to even speak with the dead. It was something infinitely more profound, and perhaps infinitely more reckless. They sought to bring forth and incarnate a goddess in human flesh. Together, they embarked on a series of rituals that would become known as the Babalon Working. Tonight, we will conduct an investigation into that strange and fateful time. We will look at the origins, their intentions, the rituals, and the legacy of this perilous operation. We will ask the questions that have haunted researchers for decades. What was the Babalon Working? What, precisely, was it supposed to do? What were the actual, tangible results? And finally, we will dare to ask the question that should send a shiver down your spine. How do we know it didn't work? Pull the shades down and turn the lights down low. Because you have stepped onto the crossroads, and we are about to stare into the veil. Imagine a man who lives in two worlds. By day, he walks the corridors of power and progress. His name is John Whiteside Parsons, but his friends call him Jack. We are in Pasadena, California, a city transforming into a scientific and cultural hub during the 1930s and 40s. This was the heart of America's technological optimism, home to Caltech and the Mount Wilson Observatory, which peered deeper into the cosmos than ever before. This city was a monument to human reason, with its new libraries, civic centers, and reputation as a haven for brilliant minds. And Jack Parsons was its native son, the embodiment of its forward-thinking spirit. He is a founding father of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, an institution that would one day send robots to every planet in our solar system. He is a co-founder of the Aerojet Corporation, America's first rocket engine manufacturer. Though financial hardship forced him to drop out of university, Parsons had an intuitive genius for chemistry. He was a key member of the Galcit Rocket Research Group at Caltech, a band of audacious experimenters nicknamed the Suicide Squad for their dangerous work. It was Parsons who invented the first castable, composite rocket propellant, a monumental leap forward. His work on jet-assisted takeoff, JATO rockets, was vital to the American war effort. His calculations are precise, and his science is sound. He is a man of logic, empirical evidence, and the material world. However, he is also a man who believed science and magic were complementary paths to power. As the sun sets, Jack Parsons steps into another world entirely, a world of shadow, symbol, and ancient rites. In his Pasadena mansion, known as the Parsonage, he is not a scientist, he is a magus. He is the head of the Agape Lodge of the Ordo Templi Orientis, OTO, a magical order led by the notorious Aleister Crowley. The parsonage itself is a paradox, a crucible of strange energies and a commune for bohemian artists, writers, and seekers. He placed an ad for tenants, specifying that only bohemians, artists, musicians, atheists, anarchists, or other exotic types need apply. The air was thick with intellectual debate, rare incense, and a sense of radical freedom. For Parsons, this synthesis was natural. The laboratory and the magic circle were arenas for the same quest to understand the universe. He believed occult systems had predicted many scientific discoveries. He was known to recite Aleister Crowley's Hymn to Pan before rocket engine tests, a prayer to a pagan god before an act of high science. To him, creating immense power from hidden formulas, chemical or magical, was the same essential work. But in 1946, Parsons was driven by a mission of supreme cosmic importance. He sees a world scarred by war, spiritually bankrupt, and trapped in a dying eon. He believes the time has come for a new, feminine power to manifest. Her name is Babalon, the Scarlet Woman, reimagined by Crowley not as a figure of sin, but as a goddess of absolute freedom. She is the sacred chalice, the Holy Grail, the gateway. Parsons' goal is not symbolic. He intends to perform rituals so potent they will punch a hole through reality itself. He will tear open a gateway and pull Babylon into a living, breathing human vessel. He will birth a goddess onto the earth. The brilliant mind building rocket to escape Earth is also building a ritual to shatter reality. He is a man standing with one foot in science and one in the magic circle, about to begin an experiment with no certain return. In late summer 1945, a man walks into the parsonage and into Jack Parsons' life. He is a whirlwind of charisma and tall tales, a man with a pulp writer's vivid imagination. His name is Lafayette Ronald Hubbard, whom we know today as L. Ron Hubbard. At this time, he is not yet a religious founder, but a man adrift after his service in the Navy. He is a prolific writer of science fiction and a veteran of the pulp magazine circuit. He had a history of interest in the esoteric and was a talented hypnotist. He is drawn to the strange energy of the parsonage, and Jack Parsons is, in turn, utterly mesmerized by him. Parsons, having been pushed out of JPL and Aerojet, was at a professional low point. He was pouring all his energy into his magical practice, desperate for a partner to match his vision. He needed a sign, and in walked Hubbard, a master of narrative who reflected back exactly what Parsons wanted to see. Parsons sees in Hubbard not just an adventurer, but a man of immense, untapped magical talent. He views him as a natural psychic, a gifted seer who could read the messages hidden in the ether. In excited letters to Aleister Crowley, Parsons calls Hubbard a most gifted and brilliant man. He writes that Hubbard is the most thelemic person I have ever met, and is in direct touch with some higher intelligence. Hubbard speaks of this guiding spirit as a beautiful winged woman with red hair whom he calls the Empress. Parsons believes he has finally found the perfect partner for his audacious plan, the scribe for his great working. But thousands of miles away, the aged and weary Aleister Crowley is not convinced. Crowley, a seasoned leader of occult groups, understood power dynamics and the personalities drawn to the fringe. His assessment was not clairvoyance, but the cold calculation of a cynical leader. He reads Parsons' descriptions and sees not a magical adept, but a grifter, a charlatan, a con man. Crowley's letters back to California are laced with palpable alarm. "I am fracas-minded about Ron," he writes to his American deputy. He sees Hubbard as a classic opportunist preying on the wealthy, brilliant, but dangerously naive Jack Parsons. He issues a stark warning. Suspect Ron playing a confidence trick. Jack Parsons is a weak fool, obvious victim prowling swindlers. But Parsons is too deep in his own vision, too captivated by Hubbard's charm, too desperate for the working to succeed. He believes he has found the missing piece for his great puzzle and ignores the frantic warnings from his master. This is the inciting incident, the moment the two key operatives of the Babalon Working align, the driven magician and the enigmatic scribe. With Hubbard at his side, Parsons believes he has the power to move forward. The plan is no longer a dream, it is an operation. The ritual chamber is being prepared, the incantations chosen. A gateway that had only existed in theory is about to be forced open in a Pasadena mansion. January 1946. A chill descends on the parsonage that is not from the winter air, but from the crushing weight of intention. Parsons and Hubbard are now crossing the threshold. This is the point of no return. The Babalon Working begins in earnest. The methodology is a potent cocktail of esoteric technologies designed to alter perception and reality itself. At its core is Enochian magic, a complex and reputedly perilous system of angelic communication. This system was revealed in the 16th century to the Magus Doctor John Dee and his seer Edward Kelly. It is a complete system with its own language, a map of spiritual realms, and a series of calls or keys to open them. Night after night, the rituals unfold. Parsons, as the magician, stands in the consecrated space holding his air dagger, a tool to direct will. He recites the Enochian calls, his voice a vessel for ancient vibrations. The air grows thick with rare incense. The only other sound is the haunting, dissonant strains of Prokofiev's Second Violin Concerto. Hubbard, as the scribe, sits nearby, the psychic antenna tuned to catch whispers from the other side. He is scrying, gazing into the unseen, waiting for a vision, a voice, a sign. This combination of elements is a powerful technology for inducing altered states of consciousness. It is a method for systematically bypassing the rational mind. Parsons' own diary from this time reads like a fever dream, a meticulous record of mounting phenomena. He documents every detail, interpreting each one as a sign of success. He describes a buzzing metallic voice crying out from the walls, "Let me go free." He writes of sudden, inexplicable windstorms that rattle the windows during the rituals. He notes electrical disturbances, with lights flickering at key moments of invocation. He feels a great pressure and tension building in the house, a palpable sense of a gathering force. This is the threshold where they are no longer just students, but operators in the field. They believe their actions are having a direct physical effect on the world. In this charged corner of Pasadena, the laws of physics are being suspended, replaced by the laws of magic. Parsons is no longer just reading about opening gateways, he is turning the key in the lock. He can feel the tumblers beginning to fall. Something is listening, something is responding, and it is getting closer. As the rituals intensify, the pressure builds, and not just on the astral plane. The Babalon Working begins to fracture under the weight of very human complications. The primary threat is not a demon, but a sordid love triangle that poisons the work from within. The first point of pressure comes from Crowley, whose letters from England become more frantic. He is appalled, seeing Parsons' literal attempt to incarnate a goddess as a perversion of his teachings. For Crowley, invocation was a psychological process, not summoning a physical being. Parsons, in his zeal, is treating it like an engineering problem, trying to brute force a miracle. And Crowley's suspicion of Hubbard has hardened into damning certainty. He sees a parasite who has latched onto his most promising and vulnerable follower for personal gain. But Parsons remains deaf to these warnings, convinced he is on the verge of a breakthrough. The second crisis comes not from within the temple walls, but from within Parsons' own heart. The intense energy of the rituals is taking a severe toll on his psyche, making his behavior erratic. He is consumed, obsessed by the work. And then there is the deepest betrayal. While acting as the devoted magical partner, L. Ron Hubbard is also engaged in an affair with Parsons' girlfriend, Sarah Northrup. Sarah was a fellow OTO member and a force of nature in her own right, described as feisty and untamed. Her volatile behavior was so disruptive that Crowley himself had denounced her as a vampire. This affair between Hubbard and Sarah is a profound deception. The scribe is sleeping with the magician's partner during a sacred ritual to invoke a goddess of love and trust. In ceremonial magic, the magician's focused will is the most important tool. With his personal life in chaos and his trust violated, Parsons' will is compromised and his focus shattered. The alliance between Hubbard and Sarah, two figures Crowley deemed dangerous, represents a direct assault on Parsons' stability and magical power. The inherent dangers of the operation become a chilling reality. Hubbard, the supposed instrument, is now wielding immense power over its chief architect. He has a hold on Parsons' magical aspirations, his emotions, and his partner. The sacred space of the parsonage is no longer just a temple, but a stage for psychological manipulation. The integrity of the magic circle meant to protect him has been broken from the inside. The forces being drawn towards the light are now tainted with the shadows of human greed and deception. The working is on the verge of collapse, torn apart by betrayal and condemnation. Parsons is adrift, his will compromised, his faith tested by the man he chose as his magical brother. He needs a sign, a miracle, to validate his path. And then, on the night of January 18th, 1946, it happens. Following an intense night of ritual, Parsons returns to the parsonage exhausted and despairing. There, waiting for him, is a woman he has never seen before. Her name is Marjorie Cameron. She is an artist and a former Navy wave with a cascade of bronze-red hair. For Jack Parsons, this is not a chance encounter. It is a sign, the living answer to his invocations. In his diary, he writes with the breathless excitement of a man whose faith has been vindicated. He describes her in esoteric terms, noting her extraordinary personality, talent, and intelligence. He is utterly convinced that she is the elemental he has been calling for, clothed in flesh and blood. She is his Scarlet Woman. She is Babalon incarnate. This is the moment of apparent, stunning triumph that propels the story into its next phase. For Parsons, it is a reflection of his own power and destiny. He looks at Marjorie Cameron and sees the undeniable success of his magic. During this period of renewed fervor, Parsons, with Hubbard still acting as scribe, claims to receive a channeled communication. He titles it Liber 49, the Book of Babalon. In a move of staggering audacity, he declares it a new, fourth chapter of Crowley's holiest scripture, the Book of the Law. The text is a prophetic proclamation from the goddess herself. Yea, it is I, Babalon, and this is my book. It is also a script for Parsons' own martyrdom, filled with prophecies of his suffering and being outcast and accursed. By accepting this text, Parsons framed his impending destruction not as a failure, but as a heroic ordeal. The focus of the Babalon Working now shifts. The goal is no longer to invoke a spirit, for the spirit is here. The new goal is to conceive the magical child, the moon child. The rituals now turn explicitly to sex magic, the most potent of Crowley's teachings. Parsons and Cameron, with L. Ron Hubbard still present as an observer, engage in a series of sacred sexual rites. Their union is a sacrament, a magical act designed to draw down the cosmic force of Babylon and plant it in a human womb. The ultimate goal was to create a new Messiah for a new eon. From the outside, it is a story of a brilliant, unstable man projecting his delusions onto a woman. But from inside the fever dream, this is the moment the veil disappears completely. The abstract has become terrifyingly real. The goddess walks among them. This is the high point of Jack Parsons' life, the zenith of his magical career. He has found his goddess and proven his power to himself. But in the moment of his greatest spiritual triumph, the seeds of his ultimate material destruction are about to sprout. The man he still trusts as his magical brother is preparing to make his final, devastating move. The air at the parsonage is thick with a haze of sex, magic, and perceived cosmic success. Jack Parsons is consumed by his sacred duty to his newfound goddess, Marjorie Cameron. He is focused on the ultimate prize, the conception of the Moonchild. And in this moment of divine distraction, the reversal comes. It is not a psychic attack, but a betrayal so mundane and cynically human, it shatters Parsons' magical reality. L. Ron Hubbard makes his play. He and Sarah Northrup, Parsons' former love, approach Parsons with a business proposal called Allied Enterprises. The plan is simple: buy yachts on the East Coast and sail them to California to sell for a profit. Parsons, his judgment clouded by his trust in his magical partner, agrees without hesitation. He liquidates his assets. The partnership is formed. With Parsons investing his entire life savings, he hands over nearly $21,000, roughly $350,000 in today's value, a fortune in 1946. Hubbard takes the money, and Sarah. This betrayal is absolute and brutal. The trusted scribe is revealed to be nothing more than a common thief, just as Crowley had forewarned. The sacred magical partnership is exposed as a sham. The Great Babalon Working collapses into a sordid tale of fraud. Parsons is ripped from his celestial reverie and plunged into the cold reality of his own ruin. He is left with nothing, his money is gone, and his love has been stolen. The grand hope for a new eon is revealed to be a pathetic con game. The temple has been desecrated by simple human greed. When news of the swindle reaches Aleister Crowley, he is furious but not surprised. His dire warnings have come true in the most brutal fashion. He dismisses his most promising American follower as a weak fool. For Parsons, it is a cataclysm, shaking his faith to its core. The man who helped him channel a goddess has just stolen his life savings. In a final desperate act of magical warfare, Parsons pursues them to Miami. He files a lawsuit and performs a banishing ritual, an invocation to the war god Mars. He focuses all his rage, pain, and humiliation into a single psychic arrow aimed at Hubbard and Sarah on their yacht. According to the story, a sudden violent squall descends from a clear sky. Hubbard's yacht is battered, its sails ripped, forcing him back to port. The lawsuit is quickly settled, and the partnership is dissolved. Parsons gets 2 boats back, while Hubbard gets the 3rd. Parsons never hears from them again. He believes his curse worked, a small Pyrrhic victory in the face of total devastation. But it changes nothing. The unmasking of Hubbard's true intentions has brought the Babalon Working to its definitive end. The gateway is closed, but the consequences of having opened it are just beginning. The price for Jack Parsons' cosmic ambition is about to come due. The aftermath of the Babalon Working is a long, slow-motion disaster. It is a lingering shadow that consumes everyone it touched. For Jack Parsons, the dream is dead. He marries Marjorie Cameron, the woman he still believes is his Scarlet Woman. Their life together is a whirlwind of passion and chaos. But the world he once commanded is now closed to him. His FBI security clearance is revoked, making it impossible for him to work in rocketry. The Rocket Man is permanently grounded. Financially ruined and professionally disgraced, he drifts from one odd job to another. His magical work continues, growing more radical and desperate. He undertakes what he calls the Black Pilgrimage. He writes a new text, the Book of the Antichrist, and embraces a new, darker role. He is the outcast, the accursed, just as his own prophecy foretold. In his writings, he frames his misfortunes as a destined magical ordeal. A few years before his death, he writes to Crowley with a chilling prophetic statement. Babylon is incarnate on the earth today, awaiting the proper hour of her manifestation. And on that day my work will be accomplished, and I will be blown away upon the breath of the fire. On June 17, 1952, that prophecy was fulfilled. Jack Parsons is killed in a massive explosion in his home laboratory at the age of 37. The official story declares it a tragic accident, but whispers have always followed his death. Was it suicide, assassination, or the final payment come due for the Babalon Working? A karmic debt collected with explosive interest by the forces he so recklessly invoked. For Marjorie Cameron, the disaster is a life lived as a goddess in exile. She is forever the Scarlet Woman, an identity forged in the fire of Parsons' ritual. She carries this identity through a celebrated career as an avant-garde artist and counterculture icon. She appears in Kenneth Anger's film Inauguration of the Pleasure Dome, explicitly playing the Scarlet Woman. She is a priestess without a temple, forever haunted and defined by a single seismic event. And what of L. Ron Hubbard, the man who walked away with the money and the girl? His path leads not to ruin, but to a global empire. He takes the techniques of mental manipulation and narrative control he perfected at the parsonage. In 1950, he created Dianetics. From Dianetics, in 1952, he built the Church of Scientology. From a material standpoint, it would seem he won. From another perspective, his success is the most terrifying result of all. Some look at the cosmology and methods of Scientology and see the ghost of the Babalon Working. They see the ultimate confidence trick, played on a global scale. A religion built on occult technology, wielded by a man at ground zero when the gateway was opened. The disaster of the Babalon Working was a triple tragedy. The scientist who flew too close to the sun and was burned to ash. The artist who is forever trapped in the image of a goddess. And the charlatan who harnessed a stolen fire to build an empire of belief. The final reckoning was not just for Jack Parsons, it was for everyone involved. Its aftershocks are still being felt today. We arrive at the moment of truth. After all the rituals, betrayals, tragedies, what were the actual results? Did it work? At the heart of the mystery, the path splinters, and there is no easy answer. From the cold, rational perspective, the Babalon Working was a catastrophic failure. It was a textbook case of shared delusion. Jack Parsons, brilliant but fragile, projected his messianic fantasies onto the world. L. Ron Hubbard, a master manipulator, exploited it for financial gain. Marjorie Cameron, a free-spirited artist, was unwittingly cast in a leading role. In this view, the Working produced nothing but a broken man and a cautionary tale. The success was a figment of Parsons' imagination. The failure was his explosive reality. But then, there is the other view from inside the occult world, which is far more unsettling. In this interpretation, a ritual's success is not measured by its immediate effects. The forces invoked are seeds planted in the collective unconscious. These seeds can lie dormant for years before they sprout in world-altering ways. Some occultists believe the Babalon Working was a success of terrifying proportions. They argue that the gateway was opened and something came through. Not a single being, but a current, an influence, a chaotic and disruptive energy unleashed upon the world. They point to the cultural explosions that followed. The counterculture, the sexual revolution, the interest in Eastern religions, and the occult. All are hallmarks of a world breaking from its old constraints, just as Parsons had hoped. Most strangely, they point to the dawn of the modern UFO age. The first major wave of flying saucer sightings began in 1947, 1 year after the rituals concluded. This theory connects to Crowley's own 1918 Aleister Working, where he claimed to contact an entity named Lamb. A portrait of Lamb bears a stunning resemblance to a modern gray alien. Did Parsons, attempting to contact a non-human intelligence, succeed in a way he never intended? Did he call for a goddess, but instead get something else from the stars? This interpretation casts the legacy of the key players in a new, sinister light. Hubbard is no longer just a con man, but the man at ground zero when the portal opened. He perhaps harnessed that new, chaotic energy for his own purposes. Scholar Hugh Urban has drawn stunning parallels between Crowley's magic and Hubbard's tech. The hidden core mythology of Scientology itself tells a story of extraterrestrial beings and a galactic overlord named Xenu. Could Scientology be the monstrous, unexpected moonchild of the Babalon Working? A world-altering religious entity born from that crucible of sex, magic, and manipulation. We are left with two equally terrifying possibilities. 1. A human tragedy of delusion and betrayal. 2. A ritual that succeeded all too well, cracking open a door that was never meant to be opened. Was the Babalon Working a failure, or was it the trigger for the strange reality we inhabit today? We cannot know for sure. We can only look at the evidence, listen for the echoes, and chase the long shadows it casts. The story of the Babalon Working doesn't have an ending. It has echoes. The mansion on Orange Grove Avenue is long gone, paved over for a parking lot. But the questions linger in the air like the scent of old incense. Have others tried to repeat the working? Whispers in the occult community say yes, but these are tales told in secret. The Babalon Working stands as both a monument and a warning. What if it had succeeded, as Parsons dreamed? Would our world be a utopia of love, or would it be a new kind of hell? And the final, haunting question remains: how would we really know it didn't work? If a powerful, non-human influence was released into the world, would we recognize it? Or would we just call it the 1960s, the sexual revolution, the New Age movement, or Scientology? Would we see the hand of a hidden puppeteer, or just the chaos of human history? The legacy of the Babalon Working is this profound and permanent uncertainty. It is a story that pushes us to the edge of what we think we know about reality. It is a story about a gateway kicked open in the California desert nearly 80 years ago. The chilling, unanswerable question is it still open? And what exactly may have come through? As we step back from the crossroads, remember, the veil between the known and unknown is thinner than we think. But the story doesn't end here. This is just the beginning. Because what we explore here is not just about the phenomena, but the journey that we are all on, searching for meaning and our purpose in life, seeking the knowledge and the wisdom to solve the deeper mysteries in our universe and to find and fulfill our destiny. unexplained sightings, spirits, and science. They are all connected, and they have been interwoven into the grand tapestry of life. So remember, keep pulling at the threads, because this has been the crossroads of the veil.